Hello, lovelies. Hello, family. Welcome to my channel. This is Kimberly Purpoz. Today, I want to do a video about the holidays that's coming up. Thanksgiving is coming up, and I want to talk about it and explain why Indigenous people of Americas, particularly the American Aborigines, should not be celebrating Thanksgiving. But before we start, I want to share my chakra necklace. It's clear. Have many others with different colors. Maybe one day I'll come on one of my videos and talk about what each chakra means and represents according to Rike. But they're available. They're coming soon to my Purpose Healing Art store. And I'll keep you guys posted. I'm still working on it. But anyway, the night I stumbled across this article because like I said, I'm going through a lot of transformations and learning more about our heritage and indigenous roots. And I'm starting to notice some things. But what I've been noticing is that here in the Americas and globally, a lot of things have been indoctrinated, such as rituals. And some people don't realize that rituals are very real. It's like when you do these rituals, which are some of the holidays, a lot of the holidays, it's like you're bringing a certain energy level, into existence. Things that happened in the past, we find it to be very difficult to heal from the past because we're still doing these rituals to celebrate whatever negative has taken place. In a way, it's sort of like a slap in the face to our ancestors because we're still glorifying or celebrating a history of the downfall of our ancestors, pretty much, such as the Indian Wars and in particular, the Powhatan tribes, when it was nice to the people of the 13 colonies, the Greys, and they poisoned them and this evil deeds. It was no Thanksgiving. But I'm going to read this article. It's not something that we should be celebrating because it's a day of bloodshed towards the indigenous people. And I think a lot of times we as American Aborigines don't study or look into history as much as we usually do because everything is solely based on colonization, and it doesn't show that we are indigenous here and that the people they're speaking about in the history books when it comes to Thanksgiving are pertaining to us. And a lot of times we just totally overlook it and don't realize that this history is applied to us as well because we were here. We were here the whole time. But anyway, the time I found this article in the Final Call. I know it's an older article. No, it's published last year. But I thought I'd do it this year to talk about Thanksgiving and why we should reduce the frequencies, the positive frequencies to this holiday. Because I believe when more and more people celebrate it, you bring in positive energy and speaking into existence, hey, we will continue to be oppressed. We will continue to lose blood. We'll continue to lose more of our people to violence by the Greys, by celebrating this ritual. It's like you're setting everything in place pretty much for the oppressors to continue to oppress us. And see if we reduce the level of frequencies, by not celebrating or putting too much emphasis on the holiday, and instead putting more on the emphasis of a holiday in which our ancestors were successful. Our ancestors have won. Like for example, if it's an Indian war that took place and we won, then that should be a day for celebration to uplift our ancestors and uplift ourselves about some of the great things we have done. And instead, we're worshiping what the Grays have done. And I think this is part of it. Y'all need to, I would recommend y'all watch the video I've done on frequencies and the science of frequencies and energy science, because these things are real. Because I think a lot of the problem is we don't understand our history, and we don't understand the origins to a lot of these holidays that takes place, and we don't understand frequencies and how it's used in the English language. And it's a form of spellbinding. And I don't think people realize we're spellbinding now. If you accept the human labeling system, you pretty much already doing spellbinding. Pretty much. And we don't realize that's what we're actually doing. I got several videos on that. Y'all can look it up. I explain all of that in great detail. But anyway, the name of this article is called Native Americans Explain Why Thanksgiving Holiday is a Celebration of Genocide. And these are some of the Native Americans, but these are some things that I'm glad that it's in the final call. It's an American Aboriginal magazine. Some of the people who celebrate who are Muslim, but I'm not Muslim, but some of us are. And it comes from the final call. And these are the Muslims, explaining why. Yeah, hold on one second, y'all. I'm sorry, I had to pick that up. Sorry about that, but I'm back. Yeah, so let's see. It was published, like I said, in October of last year. And I'm not sure if it's written. Oh, here it is. The author is Charlene Muhammad. She's the one that wrote this. And like I said, the Native Americans they know this. And this is something that, like I said, we should know, and we don't, because we've been brainwashed to believe in the transatlantic slave trade. And now we're starting to realize now that we've been here the whole time. And now that we're starting to realize that we got to see what we can do to make things right, bring more things and positive energy towards our people. But anyway, it says here, no thanks to Thanksgiving. Finalcall.com. As people gather at dinner tables for home-cooked meals, family reunions to count for their blessings during the Thanksgiving holidays, Native Americans will commemorate the day too, but with a different perspective and account of their history and plight in the United States. And see, these people here explains this. I've seen this girl before, Yanada Lone Wolf. She says that she's part Black and part Native American. I'm not sure if she's American Aboriginal. I don't know if her father, I believe her mother is Native American. But I'm not sure about her father. If he's from the United States and he's born here and have a lineage of people, if he's a descendant of a slave, or his family was considered Negro, then he's more than likely an American Aborigine. So, yeah. And then over here it's Mark. I'm not sure about that, so I just speculate that she's, she might be American Aboriginal and mixed with Native American too. But this is Mark Enquo. I never heard of him. I'm not sure. Might look him up. And then there's Hector Perez Pachico. These two are Native Americans as well. But let's see what they had to say. We certainly not against giving thanks, as Indigenous people who give thanks every day. The issue here with Thanksgiving holiday, as celebrated in the United States, is that it perpetrates this myth that wonderful pilgrims came here from Europe and were so kind and good to the Native people who were here and lived happily ever after, said Matwan Munro, leader of United American Indians of New England. Wow. Okay, this is I have to look this organization up. I think this is neat. And it says here, President Abraham Lincoln declared Thanksgiving on official U.S. holiday in 1863. But Miss Monroe said the holiday in reality has bloody roots. It was an official day, was proclaimed in colonial times to give thanks that a militia had returned safely from massacring more than 700 Iroquois, he said. Many victims were elders, women, and children, said Monroe, she said. And see, this is why we should not be celebrating this. And I think we celebrate because we don't realize that we are indigenous too. We just been excluded from all the history books, and our records have been reclassified as Negroes. That we were first originally Indians, then they classified as colored, then Negro, then Black, and then African American. Black and African American. So they just clearly tried to erase us out of history, pretty much, through the writings and everything. But we were here too. And so they're talking about the East Coast, especially the Southeast Woodlands. Most of the people of the Southeast Woodlands were American Aboriginal. Okay, so they're talking about us. And so this is something that we need to open our eyes to. And with all of us not realizing this simple fact, we unknowingly are worshiping a holiday that was the demise of our own people. But it says here that part of every year, organization hosts a National Day of Mourning in Plymouth, Massachusetts, to honor the Native ancestors and current struggles of indigenous people. This year marks the 42nd gathering. And like I said, this is something that we should be doing as well. Giving prayer and homage to the people that died during that massacre, as opposed to glorifying. It should be a prayer ritual, pretty much, acknowledging that some of our ancestors were passed away during this violence massacre that took place hundreds of years ago. But even though it was a long time ago, it's still something that took place and that we should acknowledge. And it says American natives. It says here, Native Americans have the largest rate of suicide in the United States at 16.25 per 100,000 for 2002 to 2006 per the Center of Disease Control, she noted. Millions upon millions of Native people have died in European perpetual genocide. This as Africans did, which when they say Africans, I think it's those people are all the American Aborigines as well, who were already over here. And it says the root of America's wealth really is the theft of indigenous lands, the genocide of indigenous people, and enslavement of American Aboriginal. I don't use the word Black because the labeling system is very racist. It's based on one person's opinion. It's not scientific in order to prove it. But I did a video on that. Y'all can look at that to see why. Men, I'm going to replace that to American Aboriginal men and women. Ms. Marino continued. And it says the National Day of Mourning aimed to set the record straight, not just about the past, but about today's circumstances. And I think that's a great idea. It says here, I see on here, it says, I think I can read this. It says National Day of Mourning. Since 1970, Native Americans had gathered at the noon of Coal Hill in Plymouth to commemorate a National Day of Mourning on the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday. Many Native Americans do not celebrate the arrival of Pilgrims, other European settlers. To them, Thanksgiving is a reminder of the genocide of millions of people. They theft their land and the relentless assault of their culture, exactly ours too. And they also need to mention the people who were captured during the wars as well, and turned and were put into slavery, prisoners of war. A lot of times that's missing, the erasure of our history as well. But it says here, participants in National Day are mourning honor of Native ancestors and the struggle of Native people to survive today. It is a day of a remembrance of spiritual connection as well as protest of racism and oppression, which Indigenous Americans continue to experience. We all experience it. Not just the natives, but also the American Aborigines as well. And we suffer it too, not just the natives. And oftentimes that goes unlooked. And it says here, it's erected by the town of Plymouth on behalf of the United States Indians of New England. And it says the biggest issue facing us in poverty and unemployment in many states, there's a larger Native population. Our unemployment figures are much more higher than that of gray people. In the Northern Plains, for instance, unemployment is 50% in Alaska, and very bad too, said Miss Marino. It's also better with the American Aborigines. Our unemployment rate tends to be a little bit higher than the grays too as well. So it hit us just as well too. But I'm gonna scroll down to the bottom. This is a long article, and I didn't want to go on and on and on. And it says here, many natives are prevented from speaking their language or practicing their traditions, but there has always been a uplift of culture and not remain in past that's negatively associated with their history, he told Final Call. Okay. And we experienced the same thing through cultural appropriation. A lot of our indigenous roots, which I was talking about, hoodoo, that's another culture and spirituality that is being that Gray's trying to take over and say that they created, which had nothing to do with them. It's an ancient type of spirituality that has been passed down from generation to generation. That's just to give you an example of how it applied to us as well as American Aborigines. And other customs such as hip hops and is one example, on hairstyles, and a lot of our culture, music, is culture appropriated, and it's done all the time as well with us as well, because we're also indigenous too. And it says here, one way is to start speaking truth about Thanksgiving tables, Ms. Purcell said. A second way, and see, I like how she explained, these are some of the things we can incorporate as well. A second way is to talk to the victims of boarding schools where Native Americans placed are stripped of their land, language, and culture. Another is to revive the Native traditions of culture and provide pride and dignity as our people. And these are some of the things we're doing now. We don't realize it, but we're doing some of these things now, like talking to our elders, getting information, finding out about indigenous roots, and reconnecting to the indigenous language that was stolen from us as well during the slave trade. And also Jim Crow, which hit us the hardest than any racial group because we are the original. We were the first ones to hear the Paleo Indians. And it says here, it is a step-by-step process towards not staying in the negative. Yet, that's a part of the process, but it shouldn't be the end, said Ms. Pechico said. And that's the end of this article. And that's pretty much it. I saw another article here. I'm going to go to it. I'm not sure what this one's about. Let me go to it and just look at it. Yeah, here's another article. It says here, where's the Thanksgiving? I'm not going to read this one. But this one applies to us as well. I didn't see this one. I didn't want this to show up. Let me go back, you guys. But it's another article there that sort of talks more into details, called Where the Thanks of Thanksgiving. And I had popped up. I can't get to it. I think that one's posted on 2011. So it's like articles explaining why we should not be celebrating this this holiday at all. And I didn't get a chance to read the other article, but I put a link to this article so y'all can see the other article too. And they were going into more details, especially you know, about why we should not be celebrating. This article sort of focused more on the natives, but there's a kinship there that oftentimes people overlook. Y'all might want to look at Jack Forbes in a book. I just got his book. I might do a video on that as well. So I just started reading it. He does a breakdown about the races and everything, and it shows that there's some sort of kinship. There's some kinship, a lot of kinship actually, between the natives and the American Aborigines. We were both here, and that's why you see such a mixture of both the natives and American Aborigines, But I'm still trying to understand because all this labeling system has brought so much chaos and confusion to the point where we don't know who's who and how this happened and what actually happened in the past because they changed our identity so many times. It's a shame. So you have to do extensive research to get more clarity of what took place. But like I said, we shouldn't be celebrating Thanksgiving either because these are our people as well. And that's the part that has been missed for a very long time. And I like how she came up with some ideas on what you can do. And I was also saying maybe we could celebrate some of the victories as well of what our people has done in the past and celebrate that as well as, for our people. But this particular day, it should be a day of prayer and praying to our ancestors and for them to heal spiritually and for us to heal. Because it's a wound that has never healed, and in order to heal, you have to tap from within and have the knowledge and the willpower to bring about the change and change in perception of how things used to appear. We just thought it then wasn't us, but now we're realizing it was us. Now we can fix it. But fix it and see, realize the truth of the origins of Thanksgiving. But I would love to see what you all think. I can go on and on, I'm a chatterbox. Please like this video, thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. And I would love to see what you all think about Thanksgiving. And do you think it's a wonderful holiday that we should be celebrating? Does it apply to you as a people, or do you still think that it's only applied to the natives? Till next time, peace, family, and love and peace. Bye-bye.